All right, let's bring in the White House now. Hogan Gidley, Principal Deputy White House Press Secretary. Hogan, thank you for being with me on the program today. A lot to get to today. A big day talking about law enforcement with the president there meeting with chiefs and FOP and groups in Chicago. But first, let's drill down on what just happened at the Pentagon and where the president is going in all of this. How many people are we planning to leave behind on the ground in Syria? You heard the chairman of the Joint Chiefs ask about this, and Defense Secretary Mark Esper.
Right. Well, I'm not going to get into all the numbers right now. The president's going to put the right amount of people. Right. He's going to put the right amount of people in the right places to make sure that all of his objectives are actually achieved. He's done that so far. He's going to continue to do the same thing. He did it with this raid and the death of al-Baghdadi as well.
What are the objectives in terms of those oil fields, for example? I mean, is this a long-term commitment? How will we know that protecting them, the mission is over?
Well, listen, they were there and supposed to be there for a few days, and instead they were there for 10 years, as we now know, and the president ran on a platform of pulling people back out of these endless wars. But he also understands the importance of making sure those oil fields are secured and putting people in the proper places. As I mentioned, whereas previous administrations did things to create vacuums for people to come out of the woodwork and create ISIS, for example, this president is not going to do the same thing. However, he does want to ultimately bring all of our soldiers home. That is his goal, and he'll do that as prudently as can be done.
The Major General who was just on with me moments ago, I don't know if you could hear him, but he led the forces in 2014, the initial commander on the ground inside Iraq against ISIS. And I'm curious to know, he said, what is the relationship going to be moving forward with the Kurds if we don't have more people on the ground? And he said what the president did was spot on in terms of this raid and very brave and brazen. Your thoughts?
It really was. And General Maslam actually congratulated and thanked the president for all he's been able to do. Listen, this president has great relationships across the globe, despite what so many in the media and on the Democrat side want you to think. That's exactly why we were able to pull off this mission and be so successful. But I have to be clear. What happened over the weekend was historic in so many ways, and it protects the world at large. Thousands of lives, countless lives, quite frankly, are going to be saved because of this successful mission. And despite what the Washington Post wants you to think, this was not some religious leader or religious scholar. This was a terrorist, a disgusting man with a record of death and viciousness and destruction. He would put people in cages and set them on fire. He would decapitate people and put that video on the internet. And who could forget that precious girl, Kayla Mueller, and what he did to her? It is unspeakable. She was a Christian missionary on the ground there professing the Bible and Christ, and because she refused to denounce her religion, she was killed for it. She is a modern-day martyr, and there is a special place for Kayla in heaven and a special place for al-Baghdadi in hell.
Well, there's a reason why I call them the Islamic State savages. That terror group is cruel, and you give those examples. I want to switch gears a little bit, same topic. President Trump receiving some criticism for not informing Democrats on Capitol Hill of the raid. Here's Senator Chris Coons.
To disrespect the Speaker of the House, who is in the direct line of succession to the president, and to not inform bipartisan leaders in Congress, to only inform a few Republicans, I think was just one more important norm of cooperation shattered by this president. When fighting ISIS and terrorism, we aren't Democrats and Republicans, we're Americans.
Hogan, your reaction?
Yeah. This isn't a partisan issue. He's right about that. But leave it to the Democrats to make it all about them. At a moment when we actually made the world a safer place, we made America safer. This was a massive victory for this country. But I have to be clear, there is no statutory requirement for us to brief members of Congress on this matter. In fact, it was Congress themselves who put a carve-out in the statute for Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq for this very thing, because they are military. It's in essence a war zone. There are military operations happening there every day. And it's another instance where Congress passes the laws and they don't want to live by the laws they put in place. It's their rules, but they don't want to play by them.
You know, I know things are a little bit different inside Capitol Hill, but just for plain people outside, I would wonder who among the Democrats would have tried to stop taking out a bloodthirsty killer.
I don't know that anyone would have stopped it, but if history is any guide, we've now seen a sham, scam impeachment process in which people are taken into secret, behind closed doors, and then Democrats selectively leak that information to try and damage this president. It was very clear. This was an extraordinary situation, very fast-moving. We wanted success. There were operational securities at risk here, and we wanted to make sure that our brave men and women in the armed forces, the special forces that carried out this, had every best opportunity to do so, and that was decided on by the president. And I have to be honest, as commander-in-chief, Donald Trump, he performed that duty flawlessly this weekend.
Hogan Gidley, outside the White House, Deputy Press Secretary. Thank you very much. Good to see you.
Thank you much.